Hello and welcome back to the podcast that will teach you how to keep a secret. Welcome back to the podcast that respects wood. Welcome back to the podcast that has no limit to the amount of bacon that is ordered. Welcome back to the podcast that isn't afraid to say that muffins just aren't it. Welcome back to the podcast that is on at least 7 federal watch lists. Welcome back to the podcast that can do a 3,000-piece puzzle of a plain blue sky whilst making fun of your mother. Welcome back to the podcast that will drive you to visit your dad in prison. Welcome back to the best part of your week. Welcome back to another episode of Love, Death and Movies podcast, Internet's #1 film breakdown and review show, the show that crushes watch lists week after week. Every month is a different genre, every week is a different film in that genre, so follow us on everything, join us on the ride, and let's watch some movies. One day, Ash, I swear to God, one day I'm going to do that all in one breath, and I might not be alive by the end of it. Just putting it out there.
Have done it.
Yeah, putting it out there, you might have to host these bad boys solo from now on. But with me, of course, pride of the West Coast, Ash First Movies. Ash, how are you?
That's me. I'm good. Yeah, it's Friday. I got a glass of wine. Can't complain.
It's weird because every now and then, I'm very good. Thank you for asking. Every now and then we do bulk up episodes. We didn't do that last week, but I feel like we both had such a big week that it does feel like it's been like 2 weeks since we've done our last episode, right? Like you feel that as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh my. Well, this week we're finishing off the month of coming-of-age films with Moonlight, A24's Pride and Joy, Best Picture winner, etc., etc. But we'll get to that later, Ash. Come on, we'll get to that later, all right?
Hey, okay.
Ash, how's your week? Tell me highs, tell me lows, tell me the betweens.
This week seriously feels like it lasted 9 days. It was a lot. I don't even know what I did, but it felt like it was never ending. I think it's because I was so busy last weekend. So we recorded that episode with Marta on Friday night, and then I was busy on Saturday. I was busy on Sunday. I think I just drove a lot too this week. Like I drove to my mom's, which was an hour away on Sunday, and then I drove Adam to the airport on Wednesday. I drove to a doctor's appointment. I've just been driving so much, and I'm tired. Tired of this, Grandpa.
You're driving yourself crazy.
I know, I really am. So I didn't drive. Today, I'm not going anywhere.
That's too damn bad. Sorry.
Yeah, this week has been fine. Work's just been kind of hectic, and I'm off on Monday, so I'm looking forward to a 3-day weekend.
That's awesome.
My birthday's coming up next week. I'm seeing Deadpool and Wolverine tomorrow, so some things to look forward to.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are you doing for your birthday?
Not really anything. Last year was the big 3-0, so big celebration. I'm just going to dinner with my family, my brother that lives local, and my nieces, and my mom and Adam, and that's pretty much it.
It's crazy, man. I'll recheck the Gmail to see if I get the invite there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, if you want to fly up, we're going just to a little Mexican restaurant down the street. So
feels like the guest list is already airtight. So it is. You enjoy. You enjoy. I love a little. I do love a little family Mexican restaurant though, because that's where you get the spicy shit, because you go to in Australia it's Guzman, in the US it'll be Chipotle. And I don't know Chipotle, but you go spicy, and it's not really that spicy at all. But then you go to a family hole in the wall type Mexican restaurant, and you make it spicy, and are you sure? You sure, amigo?
It just depends on, I guess, what you're used to with Mexican food, because to be honest, in California, it's very different. Because I have family in Texas, and they're used to Tex-Mex. So Mexican restaurants there, it's a very different style. Whereas here, you either get the taqueria style, which is street taco, that quick kind of taqueria food, which usually can be pretty spicy, which I love. And then you also have Chipotle, which I wouldn't even necessarily call Mexican food. It's basically just cilantro, rice, meat, and beans. And then there's this place that we're going to is a authentic, they make their homemade tortillas in the restaurant. It's more you have the refried beans and Spanish rice and fajitas and, all that kind of enchiladas, all that good stuff. So different tiers of Mexican food out here, but I love them all. So
I haven't had an enchilada for years. I should get back on the enchilada train. I'm just such a, when it comes to Mexican food, I love Mexican food. I just always get a burrito.
It's hard to go wrong with a burrito.
It's hard to go wrong. It's if I go to an Italian restaurant, I'm either going to get pasta or a pizza. That's it.
Fair enough.
I'm a simple man, Ash.
I know, respect, but this is not a podcast about Mexican food. So how was your week, Harry?
All simple men. My week is good. Work is the same as yours. Work is hectic at the moment, which is good. I thrive in these sort of moments, but From now until the end of the year, it's going to be hectic busy, which is just what it is every single year. It's like from around mid to end of July till mid-December, it's just fucked. But that's just what it is, you know? You just got to thrive in those moments. Can't complain about it. It just is what it is. But I went to the premiere of Deadpool Wolverine in Sydney. That was good fun. I'm a big Survivor fan, Ash. Big Survivor fan. And lights went up after the movie. Looked to my right, sitting next to the winner of Australian Survivor.
Insane.
Oh my God. Turned to him, had a good little chat with him. And I was like, mate, I won so much money off you. Because I, like, 2 weeks into that show, I'm like, oh, this bloke is definitely winning this thing. So I put a good sizable amount of money on him. Because we're a betting culture. And yeah, he was glad. I showed him the bet slip on my phone. I was like, mate, look at this. He's like, oh, I believe you. Yeah, so, but no, he was good.
I love that.
But I think you'll enjoy the movie.
I will too.
It's getting very divisive reviews, but I just go in wanting to be entertained and laugh, and you will. Like,
it's kind of exactly what I expected, though. It seems like people who don't really typically like superhero movies in general didn't like it. People who kind of do seem to have fun with it. So I'm kind of feel like I'm going to be somewhere in the middle. But I don't know. I just rewatched Deadpool 2 and I liked it more than I thought I would. Yeah. It's kind of like the Fall Guy for me. Like some movies I can just turn my brain off and I just have fun watching the people who are on screen doing things, even if the CGI is kind of shitty and it's a little bit over the top. Yeah. I don't know. That's like my version of the Beekeeper, Harry.
Hey, don't bring the Beekeeper into this, all right? Don't bring the Beekeeper into this. Marta, if you're listening, I bet you are listening. Do what you promised and watch the Beekeeper.
She's watching it right now, actually.
Yeah, she better be. Not the dual screen. Needs its single screen attention. All right? None of this dual screen that we all use to watch Bergman and Tarkovsky, whatever his name is. For Beekeeper, that is this century's Citizen Kane. So needs a single screen for sure. But
there's nothing easier than a dual screen of Bergman while trying to do something else. I mean, that's easy to do.
It's probably the best way to watch a Bergman as well. I think that's like, if he was still alive, God rest his sacred soul, that's what he would want as well.
We're going to get this clipped and we're going to get canceled.
Probably. Who cares? But no, you'll enjoy it. That's one more thing on Deadpool Wolverine. Hugh Jackman, hot as hell.
I'm sure.
Hot as hell. Holy smokes.
I'm like watching all these interviews and I'm like, wait, I don't even, like Ryan Reynolds would have been my crush when I was like 20. Now I'm like, no, it's all about
the Jackman. Yeah. Oh yeah. I get it. Like you could grate cheese off them.
People.
But absolutely. But we'll get into that later. Ash, we'll do another podcast on who's the hottest Australian actor.
Love.
But Ash, today we're finishing off the coming of age month with Moonlight, directed by Barry Jenkins in 2016. This is the first LGBT film and the first film featuring an all-black cast to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. So this, of course, was the year that was the big controversy where they announced La La Land, but then it was actually Moonlight. First things first, Ash, do you think Moonlight should have won Best Picture?
Why are you putting me on the spot like this? Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, I personally love La La Land more. I think as far as like an achievement in film, it is a lot bigger scale. You know, it accomplished a lot. So that would have been my personal pick. I know there's also Arrival, which you love, which I also love too. And I think that is another like big scale movie. This one's really special and really important. And I'm happy that it won. I'm happy an A24 film won. It wouldn't have been my personal pick, but I'm not like upset. I just don't know that it necessarily was comparable to those movies.
Yeah, I agree. Like I wouldn't have picked it, but it's not like Crash where I'm like, that doesn't deserve Best Picture. Like this, like I could see like this winning Best Picture. I'm like, I'm not unhappy about it at all. Mm-hmm. Like it's a great film. Spoilers, that's our fucking review. I think it's great. But like, I'm not gonna. I would have put Arrival and I would have put La La Land. I probably even would have put Hacksaw Ridge above it. I fucking love Hacksaw Ridge, but it's still a fan. It's still a great fucking film. Mm-hmm. I'm very much. I wouldn't put it in the list of like Oscar snubs of like people. Yeah, I wouldn't put it up there. I think it deserves a win. Like it does, but I just think that like other ones also deserve a win. That's all. But quick synopsis: the tender, heartbreaking story of a young man's struggle to find himself told across 3 defining chapters of his life as he experiences the ecstasy, pain, and beauty of falling in love whilst grappling with his own sexuality. Budget $1.5 million, and it's been reported that it's probably going to as low as 1.1 million, which is quite outstanding. This was filmed in like a month. Like it was like filmed in like zero days. But the box office was 65.2 million. So according to the cinematographer, James Laxton, Moonlight only had a small budget of 1.5 million. Director Barry Jenkins confirmed in a Q&A with BFI London that was indeed the budget. There is a lower budget. This is a lower budget than any other Best Picture winner since Rocky, which cost $1.1 million to make, which that's outstanding in itself, to be honest. But if the budget was adjusted for inflation, then Moonlight would be regarded as the Best Picture winner with the lowest budget ever. So, Ash, before we get into the little bit of the story, what do you think of Moonlight? Tell me, what's your review?
Yeah, this is my second time watching it. I watched it for the first time last year, and I loved it. And like on initial watch, I thought it was a really beautiful film. I think for me, the most interesting part of it is the first 40 minutes. I think when he's little, I think that's where so many special, like instrumental moments happen. I think it has a lot to do with Juan's character. Um, and that to me is just such a special like relationship that they develop that it's kind of hard to beat that part of the film.
Agreed.
But I mean, as far as the narrative and the story, I think it's really good. It's really important story to tell. It's an important perspective to tell, obviously, that we don't really get to see super often. And then on top of that, the score and the cinematography, like the movie looks beautiful. And I think for me, that's like where I'm higher on it. I think the narrative is really good. I don't know on rewatch if the flow from Little to Sharon to, I think it's like Little, Sharon, and Black are like the three sections, but I don't know if the transition from like Little to teenage to adult works as well on rewatch for me as it did the first time. I enjoy that first chunk so much that it kind of takes you out of it just ever so slightly. But I still think it's really well done. I would say actually like the teenage years are probably my least favorite of the movie. I think it kind of comes back around towards the end. And it does end up being like a really great watch. I think it's one of A24's best for sure. Probably like a top 20. It's not my personal like top 5 or anything, but yeah, I think it's just such a beautiful, like painful film, but I think it's an important story. So I think everyone should definitely watch it. But I don't necessarily see myself like rewatching it again anytime soon. Like really, really well done, just not like a personal favorite, I guess.
No, I love that. Yeah, I kind of echo everything you say. I think this movie's great. In terms of cinematography and writing, it's brilliant. Acting as well. I think all different phases of Sharon, both like are different, but still share a common thread that is very similar. Which I like because I got a fun fact in here throughout this that like Barry Jenkins kept them all separate so that they wouldn't kind of get ideas from one another, which I think is really important for this. I agree. Like I like a film like this because it's obvious I'm not part of any type of link towards the culture that this film is exploring. I don't really have a sense of connection with this. It's tough for me to find a connection with this as much as other people for sure. But that doesn't mean that I diminish this to anything below great. Like this movie is fantastic. It's great. It's really well told. It's just really well directed. This is my second watch as well. I remember rewatching it first time when it came out. I was in cinemas and I finished that being like, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I was like, I just didn't understand the hype for it. I thought it was good, like well written, but that was kind of it. But then like after this rewatch, I was like, no, I get it. I get it. It deserves Best Picture. I understand that. Like I would have picked more above it to get Best Picture, but I'm like, I don't think anyone should be unhappy that this won Best Picture. So we'll leave our scores to the end, but let's get into it. So I haven't kind of done this scene by scene, but I've done it more section by section. That's like just the 3 points. But again, stop me if you want me to stop, but I'll be stopping in between each one anyway. So part 1, Little. In Liberty City, Miami, Cuban drug dealer Juan, played by Mahershala Ali, aka the future Blade, finds Sharon, Alex, played by the little Alex Hibbert, a withdrawn child who goes by the name Little, hiding from a pack of bullies. So Sharon is very skeptical to trust Juan at first, but Juan is not. Juan is friendly and not very pushy, and invites Sharon for a meal. Sharon is shy and reluctant and reclusive and quiet. Juan allows Sharon to spend the night with him and his girlfriend Teresa. before returning him to his emotionally abusive mother, Paula, played by Naomi Harris. So, fun fact here, Naomi Harris shot her entire role in 3 days. So, it was in between her promotional tour of Spectre, and it was due to her visa problems because she's British. The scenes span between 15 years of her entire character's life, but they all were shot in 3 days. So they
She's
did one era.
British?
Yeah, she's British.
I would never guess based on the accent that she does. She's killer in
Yeah,
this
she's
movie.
unreal.
It's hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah, she's like horrific to watch at times. So, like it's tough, but it's incredible how because she has a decent amount of screen time as well.
Yeah.
And that all to be done in 3 days. It's like, and you like, there's just such little margin of error there, which. Yeah, well done. Teresa, of course, is warm and inviting towards Sharon and knows that Juan can be an intimidating personality, so she's kind of more the comforting one. So Juan is a drug supplier, drug dealer, and has a network of dealers that works on these streets. He's kind of like the kingpin of that hood. Business is good for Juan. Juan tells Paula that Sharon didn't tell him where he lived until the following morning, and hence that's why he didn't bring him back that previous night. You can immediately tell that Juan's a good guy. It's just like sure, he's a drug supplier, but it's all just like he's just like, he's responding to the climate around him. That's just like that's just what he does. It's like not rather than like, oh, he's a drug dealer, he's a bad guy, So Kevin is Sharon's only friend as a kid. Kevin tells Sharon to stand up for himself and not to allow others to see that he is soft. Sharon continues to spend time with Juan, who teaches him how to swim and advises him to make his own path. Juan sees Sharon as a little boy standing on the beach in moonlight. An old lady had once told Juan that African Americans look blue in moonlight, and that's what the original movie. This was in Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue. That was the original, it was because this was based on a play in 2013, and that's what the original name of the play was. But fun fact here, when one is teaching Little how to swim, Mahershala Ali is actually teaching Alex Hibbert how to swim. So when production started, Hibbert had no idea how to swim. So that's a cute little fun thing here. One night, Juan observes Paula smoking crack, with one of his customers near the location, where the dealer sold his drugs to the customer, and you can tell that it's kind of obvious, don't smoke around where you don't do smoke where you buy it. It's obvious. I think I'm not one to smoke crack, but I assumed that's clip that.
Crackheads, children. Okay, sorry.
But I assumed that was obvious, but who cares? Juan berates her for her addiction while Paula rebukes him for selling him crack in the first place. She implies that she knows why Sharon gets tormented by his peers, alluding to the way he walks. Before going home and talking out her frustration with Sharon, she calls him a word that is derogatory towards gay people. The next day, Sharon admits to Juan and Tessa that he hates his mother and asks what that derogatory term is. Juan tells him that it's a word used to make gay people feel bad. Which that line there immediately is just Juan's a good guy to me.
I love that scene so much.
But it's also he immediately feels a connection because he tells Sharon here that there's nothing wrong with being gay, and that he should not allow others to mock him. So Juan and Teresa assure him that when the time comes, Sharon would know whether he's gay or not. Sharon then asks Juan whether he sells drugs and whether his mother does drugs. And then after Juan remorsefully says yes to both questions, Sharon just gets up and leaves. And Juan hangs his head in shame. So fun fact here, to end the old section here, is Mahershala Ali won the acting award for Best Supporting Actor for this film with less than 20 minutes of screen time. So we go back in history and we think of actors that have won these awards with such little screen time. You got Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. And sometimes you just really think that screen time means fuck all. It's all about the impact that it leaves. Because I agree with you. Juan is one of the best parts of this entire film. I think probably the best part. Just the amount of impact that man had on this kid's life. You'd think that he was an absolute a right in direction, I feel like. But yeah, what do you think about this first section?
Yeah, I love this first part of the movie. It was definitely my favorite section the first time I watched it, and then when I was rewatching it, I was like, God, yeah, I forget how much it just hooks you in the beginning because there's so much to want to be invested in. Watching it, you want to see this journey this kid is on, and it's also just so heartbreaking. I mean, the moments with his mom are just so sad. The one where Juan is pulling her out of the car and like doesn't even give a fuck if he's like hurting her. He's just like grabbing her and it's just like, what are you doing? And I love the distinction too between, is he a bad guy because he does a bad thing for a living? Or can you still be a good person even though you're making your money in a way that isn't a good way to do it and it's illegal, but he still clearly like in his personal life has, a relationship that's healthy, has a home, cares about this kid that he just found, like, in some random apartment or house, whenever he was pulling down that window. So I don't know. I think it's a cool thing to showcase because I think so often we get movies where like in coming of age stories, especially the person that's like teaching them or like their mentor, they're like always some great person who's like doing all these great things in the world. And I feel like this is a little bit of a different perspective. But when you're talking about, you know, the culture around this movie, it's clearly set in an area that is a bit more low income. And like, yeah, you might not be able to do something for a living that is honorable. That doesn't make you a bad person. He still cares, but like Paula says, like you're selling me the drugs that are making me be a bad person and a bad mother. Is that Juan's fault? No, it's her fault. She's buying them. So it's an interesting kind of layered story in that way, which I really like. Janelle Monáe is just the most perfect human. I don't know how her skin looks like that, but she is just like, I see her on screen and I'm just like, wow,
It's
I can't.
unfair.
I get distracted. She's so pretty.
So do
But I
I.
love her character. Yeah, I love her character. She's great. She obviously becomes a constant for him. So I do really like seeing the balance of her and Juan. I love that scene you talked about where he tells him it's okay to not know right now. You don't have to know. It's not up to anybody else to tell you, how you got to feel or if you have to be sure about, are you gay or not. He just sort of reassures him that like it's okay, but don't feel pressure, like it's not like a shaming him. It's more just you're a kid. You don't have to have it all figured out right now or define things right now, which I do love. And then last thing I'll say is the teaching him how to swim because the ocean becomes such a crucial part of this movie and every, of the three scenes or sorry, three sections. So I love that moment where you get to see him teaching him how to swim. We get like the waves and you can actually hear like the water. It's like louder than everything else in those moments. And I think that's so like impactful for this movie. And yeah, the whole story about the moonlight and all that. I think it's beautiful. I just think the writing in that part of it is just flawless.
It's very
So I
impressive.
love this first section.
One point, like yeah, I just want to add on what you just said, like with Juan when he grabs her, he's like very like you can see there's kind of like it's the first part of like where you can see anger in him,
Mm-hmm.
where he like grabs her and he's like very frustrated with Paula, and he grabs her out of the car. I really saw that as like after the conversation of just like I used to hate my mom as well, and he's like, but now I'd give her anything to speak to her again, and you could
Mm-hmm.
see it was like there was an element of like he remembers this, like this happened
Yeah.
to him, and he's like that's kind of like how I saw that. He just saw it as like he saw his mother in that moment, which to Mahershala Ali fucking rules. I agree. Teresa is amazing in this film. She has these like little fun, like she's an icebreaker character.
Yes.
She breaks all sorts of tension because like of course like Juan's just trying to get to this kid and he's just like trying to like just give him anything that he wants to kind of help him because again he sees himself in it, but
Mm-hmm.
but then like he it's just the nature of the beast that like this kid has been grown up in such a hostile environment that Juan's already looking intimidating to him, but the the scene where like he comes in and he's like he sits down for breakfast and she's like, you don't want to talk to me, that's fine, I don't want to talk to you neither, like she's just like she
Mm-hmm.
like cuts the tension a little bit. I thought that was really fun.
No,
um
I like that. She adds almost like a layer of like charm and joy to such a dark story and such a like, haunting kind of life that he's already starting to live.
yeah.
And clearly his mom probably has never been that candid or that, you know, kind of friendly with him his whole life. She's sort of just figured he could just take care of himself, like she says at the beginning. Like normally he's so good at taking care of himself. She's almost like giving him a hard time because he wasn't home when he was supposed to be. It's like he's 8 years old. He's not an adult.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this section of the movie does it have a scene where they're staring at each other in like
Yeah.
the hallway. Does that not start till that does happen here?
That's in this scene. Yeah, that's in this. It was when he's super young. That's when
Those
she calls him the derogatory term. Yep.
yes, that scene The score
Unreal.
is so haunting. And it continues, obviously, like this hallway moment where he has like these flashbacks and like almost like dreams of seeing her that way. So well done. Those are my favorite moments in this movie when they're not saying anything. It's all in like the emotion of what the characters are going through. And I think that's where this movie really like, I mean, the writing's really good. I'm not saying that, but some of those silent moments with just the score, I think are so powerful and I just love them.
I'd argue that the scenes with no dialogue say the most.
Yeah.
Where like absolutely, because like those the you could the score brings the tension. He can just displays that entire relationship. That like
Yeah.
she is horrific to him, like
Mhm.
awful. Makes just man makes you just want to call your parents and say you love them. Eh? But
I know. It's
yeah,
funny how often you and I like say, show don't tell on this podcast. We
yeah.
clearly like that in movies. And I think that those moments are good examples of that where you don't need to say anything. It's all in the looks she gives him and just that like pain in his eyes that he feels. And like that scene when he pours himself a bath and he just
Oh
sits there
yeah.
by himself, just like nothing that a child should ever have to go through. It's just not fair to him. And he's already obviously dealing with his sexuality confusing him at such a young age. And then you add a mother like that and no friends and being bullied. It's just the kid has everything working against him. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just Juan was like that kind of, well, Juan and Teresa were like that light, in the darkness for him. And yeah, I love this whole first section of the movie.
Oh yeah. So we go to part two, which is named Sharon. So now a teenager, Sharon juggles avoiding his classmate Tyrell, who looks like a 30-year-old man, who
Looks like Lil
frequently,
Wayne.
yeah, who frequently bullies him, and spending time with Teresa, who now lives alone since Juan's death. A death that happens off screen and is done very respectfully. Just like little things of like, haven't seen her since the funeral. Like little things like that. Love
Mhm.
it. They don't have to include like a death scene to like pull at the heartstrings or anything. They could have, and it would have still kind of fit in place, but they didn't need to, which I think is very important here. So Paula has become just out straight addict to crack, and sells herself to support her addiction, frequently coercing Sharon into giving her money that Teresa loans him. Paula tells Sharon that Teresa is not his mother, and that Sharon has to support Paula because she's a blood relative. Sharon can see that Paula is still exploiting his relationship with Teresa to score some cash. So one night, Sharon has a dream in which his closest friend Kevin has relationships with a woman. Sharon tries to avoid going home after school and spends his time wherever he can, public transport stations, the streets, you name it, he's there. One other night, Kevin visits Sharon at a beach near his house, and while smoking a blunt, there the two discuss their respective ambitions and the nickname Black, as that's what Kevin has given Sharon. And after a charged moment, they kiss, and then Kevin does stuff to Sharon in a very like really good romantic sort of like comforting way. I felt
The way that scene is shot is really interesting, and I think it was a really good like decision. I don't know, it's cool. I feel like you don't see moments like that in movies very often for like romantic, I guess, moments, but
yeah.
I thought it was really well done.
Agreed. The next morning, Tyrell pressures Kevin into participating in a hazing ritual against the gays at school. Tyrell chooses Sharon as the victim and tells Kevin to punch him up. And Kevin starts punching Sharon, who's defiant and keeps getting up. Kevin reluctantly punches Sharon until he's unable to get up before Tyrell and several others stomp on him, leaving him seriously hurt. Sharon feels betrayed by Kevin and feels let down as Kevin himself is gay. Sharon later meets up with a social worker who urges him to reveal the identity of his attackers. But to be honest, that wouldn't help with anything. Like, to be honest, that would probably even get into a much, much worse circumstance. He refuses, however, as he believes that reporting would not solve anything. There we go. The next day, Sharon smashes a chair into Tyrell's back as the police arrest Sharon. He glares helplessly at Kevin. I know that's a short part, but what do you think about this section of Sharon, this midsection? Because I love this actor. He's in a couple things. He's in Equalizer 2. I was like watching him, like, oh,
Interesting.
that's the guy in Equalizer 2. Yeah, I think this is in terms of like the performances of all three performances are great. This is the one that stuck with me though. This middle one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sorry. When I was talking earlier, I think I said this was my least favorite. I meant to say that the like third
Black. Yeah,
actor in section was my least favorite, but
yeah.
the ending I like. That's what I was like trying to say, but I think I said that the middle wasn't my favorite.
I'm on
Anyways,
board.
I still think the beginning, the little scene, like sections are my favorite. But yes, I agree. This actor that as he plays Sharon, I think is gives it the most out of all of them. He kind of has to because teenage years, I feel like, especially with what he's gone through, um, he's tired. He's been through it, by this time in his life, but yet he's still a kid. So it's like you've been through it. You don't have your like mentor, your person who really cared about you. He has Teresa, but his mom is obviously still kind of making that difficult by taking the money and like kind of berating him. So he's definitely, I think, going through the most that he's had to at this point in his life. And then obviously, like as you become a teenager, like the sexuality piece gets even tougher. And Kevin obviously has had a huge impact on him since they were little, even when they were like wrestling and stuff. And then you add this moment of, it's like at one point Kevin's bragging about some chick that he was with. And then that night he's doing that. And it's like, it's confusing to Sharon. Like, I don't know if Kevin is actually like, yes, I'm gay, or if he's like bi, or if he's just still figuring it out. I feel like they don't really define it, throughout the
Yeah.
movie. It's sort of just like maybe Kevin's trying to be the cool guy. So he's talking about being with chicks, but he's actually not actually doing that.
Yeah, I think
With
he's
the
more of
impression
just like
I
a
got.
cover, like for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So yeah, I think that scene is really pivotal on the beach. And again, we're back at the beach. There's kind of a moment there in every section of his life, which I think is really beautiful to watch and listen to in the background. But yeah, I think that the actor really like. There's so many moments here. I mean, when his mom is pulling the money out of his pockets, like the fight, whenever he just keeps getting up and they're beating the shit out of him. I mean, it's all in his face. He just again says so much without saying anything at all. It's just the same personality he had when he was little, but he's a little more talkative now, a little more comfortable, but he still just kind of lets people take him for granted and like take advantage of him. And it's so sad to watch. But I think it's all super pivotal to where he ends up as an adult. Like this is all like building up to what his personality and what his life is going to look like. So yeah, I don't necessarily think there's like any scenes here that like stick with me, I guess the same way as when he's little, because I just love that relationship with Juan. But I do
Yeah.
think this actor like kills it in this role. But I always struggle to watch high school scenes where you have like that guy like that who's just like bullying him for no
Let's
reason
go
and just like
beat
in
him up.
class. Like, yeah, it's just I get so tired. I mean, it's so essential to a coming of age movie, but I'm just like, oh God, I'm like too old for this shit. Like I just want to beat you up and just shut you up forever. Like it's I don't know. It's hard to watch, but obviously it's important. And yeah, I think it's very well done. But I don't necessarily love this part quite as much as the first part outside of the acting.
No, I love that. And to the listeners listening, someone that's been on the receiving end of Ash's anger beatdowns, they're not fun. They're not fun, and you do get hurt. So make sure you have insurance. I agree. Like there's a couple scenes that I just want to point out that like are truly like heartbreaking. Of like when it starts and he goes home and his mum's like, no, 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 you can't be home tonight. You got to go find somewhere else to be. I've got
Mhm.
company coming tonight. And then like so he goes to Teresa's and comes home and she's like locked herself out and she's obviously high and like coming down or in like kind of like
Mhm.
needing drugs. I find those sections just really tough to watch. But I do love just the Teresa scenes here. They're very, I don't know, they're empowering in a way. They're like, after Juan's gone, she's still the exact same as what she is, and she's still wanting to help him just because she reminds her so much of Juan. Like it's just like you and Juan. Like it's all about like the way that they make beds and stuff like that,
Yeah, that's true.
which I think is good. And just to touch on the night on the beach and like kind of the post of that, what I think is really important. What Kevin does is that he drives him home. Like
Yes.
after it could just be like they do something sexually and then they just like leave it. It's like no, they drive him home, and even Kevin initiates a conversation about it, which I think is very important, especially at that age. Very important. I thought
Yeah,
that's
that's a good point. I lied. That scene actually, I do the beach scene and the drive home. That sticks with me for sure. In this part of the movie, it is very mature of him. Weirdly, you don't expect it from Kevin, but
not at all. No, definitely not. But great, unreal scene. By the way, if you can hear my background noise, I think there's people in the hallway. I think they're moving in or something. Doesn't matter if you
you're
can.
good.
Or not. All right, part three, Black. Fun fact here, in an interview, Barry Jenkins said that the three actors who played Sharon never met during production. He wanted them all to build their own persona of Sharon during their own respective segments with no influence from their other portrayals. The same technique was used for the actors who played Kevin, which is really cool. Like, they're probably just given the basics, and it's just like whatever that age group would kind of react to those basic notes kind of would be that character, which I think is really smart and fun. So now going by the name Black, an adult Sharon deals drugs in Atlanta. He receives a phone call from Paula, who's asking him to visit her at a drug treatment center where she now lives, which is kind of comforting to hear at first. One night he receives a call from Kevin, who apologizes for his behavior while they're in high school and invites Sharon to visit him in Miami. The next day he wakes up after dreaming about Kevin to find that he's had a bit of an accident during the night. Well done. While visiting his mother at a drug treatment center, Sharon admits that he feels remorse for the lack of empathy towards her, which is so heartbreaking in itself, to be honest. Paula eventually apologizes for having been a bad mother and not supporting him when he needed her, and he forgives her. He then travels to Miami and then reunites with Kevin. There's a good little diner scene here, which is awesome, because he now works at a diner, but Sharon is reluctant to speak or drink with Kevin. This whole diner scene I think is awesome because it's Kevin kind of like prying him open again. It's kind of the exact same as when they were kids. Like Sharon's very reclusive and stuff, and that's just the way he is now. But Kevin confesses that he is surprised by Sharon's new appearance and occupation and motivation for seeing him. After dinner, the two drive to Kevin's house. Kevin tells Sharon that although his life may not be what he turned out to be or what he hoped, he is still happy. You know, he's got a good job. He's got a son. He's not married, but he's got a son, and he's like, my whole life is just for him now. Sharon admits that he's never been intimate with another person since their encounter on the beach. As Kevin comforts him, Sharon remembers himself as little, standing on the beach in the moonlight, looking blue. So that is Moonlight. What do you think of this last section? Because I think we're both on the same page. Like, this is kind of like, all sections are great, but this is the weakest of the three, I believe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't know why I said that so wrong at the beginning, but yes, I agree. This is the weakest. I don't know. There's something about this actor. I'm not buying it quite as much as I'm buying it with the first two. And I think it's interesting that they all were kept separate, but at the same time, just to play devil's advocate, maybe that could also be a little bit of a downside because then you might see too many differences between the way the character is portrayed, you know, at different points in life, which again, I mean, when you're an adult from when you're a teenager, you do change. So it's going to happen. But I do think he's still guarded. He's still quiet. That's pretty consistent. But I don't know what it was. I just wasn't buying it quite as much with that actor. I really love Andre Holland, who plays adult Kevin. Actually, he was in a movie called Exhibiting Forgiveness, which was one of my favorites from Sundance this year. It hasn't been purchased, so I don't know if it's coming out, but he was really good in that. And I really enjoy him. I think he's like a nice balance, I guess, with the other actor who plays Sharon as an adult. Like, obviously, it's the same as when they're teenagers and kids. Like, they're so different in the way that they present themselves and are comfortable with like speaking and just Kevin's much more, you know, good at bringing him out of his shell, like you mentioned, and he acts like no time has passed at all. Where clearly Sharon's been struggling, like since they had that moment on the beach, and still like can't quite figure himself out. And it's like Kevin has his whole life with a kid, so it almost feels like Sharon's kind of like been on a pause with a lot of his life outside of his like way he makes money. Whereas Kevin's kind of just been like going, you know, working, taking care of a kid, just kind of doing normal adult things. So it is interesting to kind of watch them unpack that. And I do love some of those moments they have in the diner. I don't really like any of the scenes with like Sharon just going around doing his thing with like his like partner or helper. I don't really feel like they did anything for me personally outside of just telling us what he's up to. But then the moments with his mom, I do love that she apologizes. I think that scene is really heartbreaking. I kind of got like teary eyed a little bit watching that. Still think she's a bad person. I don't think that he should have felt bad, but I get where he's coming from. I get that. Like, even, you know, when you have that parent who you know isn't good for you or made a lot of mistakes, you still feel this like sense of guilt. Like, could I have done something, or could I have helped them, or could I don't know. You're always going to feel those moments of kind of that grief where you feel guilty. So I think they showcase that really well. And yeah, that ending scene is absolutely beautiful. It pulls me right back in. So I don't love like the 25 minutes, I guess, leading up to it quite as much as the rest of the movie, but the ending kind of like seals the deal for me personally. So yeah, really love it. Should I go ahead and give my score?
Do it.
Okay. Yeah, I give it 4.5. That's what I gave it the first time I watched it. I still thought it stood there. I think I had it as my highest rated 4.5 for A24 originally. I don't know if I'd still have it as the highest of that rating for the movies, but still love it. Again, I'm not like dying to rewatch it anytime soon, but I think it's a super important movie. I think it's a beautiful film. I think, yeah, like the writing, some of the acting from some of the actors we've already talked about is great. And then I think the score and the cinematography is just out of this world. So definitely would love to see more of what Barry Jenkins has done. I haven't seen any of his other films.
Ooh.
And yeah, I think it's just an essential coming of age movie. It's kind of unlike any other coming of age movie, in my opinion. There's not really a lot quite like this.
Watch If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yes, that's the one that I've heard is really good.
That's great. Yeah. No, I echo everything you said. I think we're on the same page with the final part. I think that the scenes with his mother, I think, are pivotal. Not only with like, it's not about her. It's kind of about him. Just like kind of him believing that he wasn't anything that she said that he was, kind of thing. You know, anything that like she made him feel like he was, which I think is important. And Kevin coming back into his life, I think, is essential. There's a scene, there's a shot where he's walking towards Kevin's place and he looks to the left and he's on a beach. Like, there's the beach there and you can see him like stop for a second and like, because I feel like the beach is like his comfort zone,
Yes.
you know? So I think that's like a sign for him that's like, you're good now.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, which I think is really important. But yeah, this movie as a whole is great. Like it's written spectacularly and it's shot beautifully and it's acted really goddamn well. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Sorry, which is higher than what I used to give it. I think I was used to have it at 3.5. So it's definitely better than what I remembered it as. Wholeheartedly think that it deserves the Oscar. Like, I'm not unhappy that it won the Oscar. I think there's others that I would have picked, but it's like I'm not unhappy that it won the Oscar. I think that this movie is just I just love the 3 sections. I love a fucking lifetime story. Where you can literally just follow this character throughout its life and just see like exactly what you can go back to, like in the third act, why he reacts to things the way he does because of stuff that happens in the first act.
Right.
I think that's really cool. But shout out to Naomi Harris, because holy shit, doing this in 3 days, unbelievable. But that is Moonlight. Before we get into our little game of the show, next week we are starting a new month, which is we're doing a month of Hitchcocks. Alfred Hitchcock's, which I'm really looking forward to this. So I think this will be good fun. So our first one we'll be watching for next week is Dial M for Murder. So,
I have a confession.
Go ahead.
I've only seen Psycho. That's it.
You know what? That's good. This is gonna be
All
good.
these movies, all month, will be my first time watching
This will
them.
be a good month for you. Holy smokes. Hell yeah. We've got Dial M for Murder in the... Oh, well, I can go through because I'll post a Instagram thing. We've got Dial M for Murder. Then we've got Rear Window, which is my personal favorite at the moment, at least. Rope, and then Vertigo. So...
I feel like Rope is going to be my jam from what I know about it.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited. That's the one that is shot to almost look like it's like one continuous take, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. I can't wait for it. This will be good fun. I love Hitchcock so much, so I'm really looking forward to this month. This will be good fun. But until then, Ash, we just go to our game of the show, which is the end of the coming of age month. So we're going to do a little movie draft, you and me, best coming of age movies. Do you want to do 5 each, or do you want to do 10 each?
I'm down for either. I just basically have my list of coming of age movies like ranked or whatever that I've seen. There could be some debates for. I mean, coming of age is so tough.
I've got some that I've got some that will have some debates as well. But I've done a random wheel generator. It has you taking your first pick. So well
Why
done.
don't we do in the middle between 5 and 10? Let's do like 7 each.
Okay, done.
And I'll go first. Okay.
Yep.
All right. There's a couple that I'm like, they're my favorite, but there's one that I just feel like is maybe the best done. And I'm going to just go ahead and take Good Will Hunting first.
Ooh, nice one. I love that. Well done. Well done, Ash. Damn. I was going to take Good Will Hunting. Okay. Well, I'm going to take one off. It'd be on your list for sure, but I've watched this well before you watched it, so it's definitely on my list for a long time. I'm going to go Almost Famous.
Seriously? I
Yeah.
was gonna take it first, and then I was like, no, Harry won't take it. He's never even talked about this
I
movie.
fucking love Almost Famous. You tell.
I'm so upset right now. I
Tiny
wish I would have
Dancer.
taken it.
Hey Ash, you are home.
Oh, I wish I would have taken it. I literally can't stop thinking about this movie for the last 3 days. But yeah, I guess you
Yeah,
had it
that's
first.
all right.
Oh, I'm
So,
so
to be
bummed.
honest, I would have taken Goodwill
Really?
Hunting though if you hadn't. So
Just do a little swap. No, it's okay. Okay. Let's see. Next step. Well, I thought this is what you were going to take, so that's what I'm going to take now, and that's Sing Street.
nice one. That would have been like, yeah, that probably would have been my next pick.
I mean, these are all 5-star movies for me so far,
Oh
so
yeah, oh yeah, Ash, oh yeah,
I can't believe you did
Ash,
that.
Ash, yeah. I am go. This is a coming of age film. I'm going to take Superbad.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good. I love Superbad so goddamn much.
I'm not really quite sure what they learn, but they learn about friendship
They
and
do.
they're trying to start their lives,
They learn
as
about how
adults.
to get alcohol. Yeah, absolutely.
Not every coming of age movie needs to have some deep, meaningful message.
Amen.
And speaking of that, I'm going to take Dazed and Confused because that's another one
Yeah.
that has the elements, but I wouldn't say that it's meant to be the deepest movie ever made.
Ash, let's level here, all right? 10 things I hate about you.
That's coming of age.
I'm taking it. Boom. Oh,
This is one of
yes.
those genres. I mean, it's like it's so hard to veto things because
Exactly,
you
because,
can
like,
kind of make arguments
absolutely.
about so many aspects of it. Oh, okay.
Good on
Some
Dazed.
good.
I knew you would take Dazed. Like, I didn't want to touch that for you.
Did not expect you to take Almost Famous first. I
Ah,
literally feel like we've never spoken about them, but I guess I've never seen it, so we wouldn't really talk about it because I wouldn't have been able to.
Almost Famous rules, dude. It's so good, eh?
I might watch it again tomorrow, to be honest with you.
You are home.
Penny Lane is such a comfort character.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I'll take my last, like, I guess, of the high rated for me. I know you don't love this as much as I do. Well, maybe I should wait. No, I'll take it. Lady Bird. I just
I was going to take Ladybird next. So,
okay. Well, then there you go.
there you go. Well
Meant to
done.
be. Literally every movie we've talked about so far is 5 stars for me. I'm not joking.
Hell
Even
yeah.
the ones you picked.
Hell yeah. Well done. Well, I'm going to take a movie I've recently put up to 5 stars. Shout out to Tyler. Boyhood.
Boyhood. Yeah. Which, speaking of Boyhood, I feel like that's one where, like, now watching Moonlight, it's a little tough because when you watch a movie where it's the same actors the whole time, you're like, God, this is the best way to do it. Why can't every movie just
Yeah.
follow actors
Why
for
can't?
20 years?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that hard. I mean, come on.
Fuck, I love Boyhood.
Okay, let's get some animation on here, and I will go with Spirited
Oh,
Away.
you.
Hey, there's still another
Yeah.
Ghibli film if you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put animated on here as well. I'm going to go Spider Man Into the Spider Verse.
Nice.
Yeah.
Again, besides Boyhood, these are still all 5-star films for
Yeah,
me.
that's pretty crazy.
I love this genre,
You
clearly.
do. You fucking
Clearly.
love this genre. Awesome.
Okay, let's see here. Hmm.
Hmm.
I want to mix it up, I don't want to just pick things that I would always pick, but I can't have this list be complete without Francis Ha. So
Yeah,
I'm
well
going to
done.
take that and then I'll start trying to mix it up without my normal picks that I always go for.
No, well done.
I guess I
Talk
only have one more pick after that, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to.
talk to me about Pan's Labyrinth, Ash. She's a young girl. She's learning to how to
Okay,
grow
it's
up.
not any movie that has a young person. That's not.
Okay. All right. All
Let me
right.
look at the genres on Letterboxd and see if it comes up as a theme.
Have a
Mm,
have a
it's
look.
not anywhere listed as a theme. Humanity,
Okay.
horror,
I'm okay to I'm
violence.
okay to let it go. I'm okay to let it go. Fucking nuts. Perks of being a wallflower, please. Thank you.
Great one. Bing, wallflower. Okay, so if we're doing 7, this means I'm on my last pick. So
It's kind of nuts how there's a couple that still just haven't been picked. Like I think we can go to 10 if you want to still go to 10.
let's just keep going.
Let's
Yeah.
go to 10.
I have to get something fun on here, like something like, well, I
Yeah.
have Dazed and Confused and Lady Bird, but like I
And
want
Sing
something that's,
Street.
yeah, I want like a comedy though. Which comedy do I want? That's the question. Is Clueless a coming of age movie?
Oh, let's have a look at Letterboxd. I like maybe.
I feel like it could be. Underdogs and coming of age is the number one theme on
Done. I'll give it
Letterboxd.
to you. Clueless.
Hey, Cher does learn a lot,
She
okay?
does. She learns to share. Thank you. It'd be weird if we didn't have a list with this on it. See, now I'm gonna take Moonlight.
Yeah.
Like it'd be weird if we didn't have it.
I feel like it'd be weird if we didn't end up with at least most of our movies we watched this
Yeah, amen.
Okay, I've got 7. Let's see. Oops. Sorry, my mic moved. Let's see here. Ooh, what about a classic in
There's one that I
Ferris
can't believe.
Bueller's Day Off?
Nice. There's one that I cannot believe that you haven't taken yet.
Really? I'm trying to mix it up. I don't like to always pick the same movies.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
All right.
I think which one you're thinking of.
I wonder which one as well. I'm gonna go Stand By Me.
No, I was between that and Ferris Bueller.
Nice.
Okay.
Last 2 for you and last 2 for me. Yeah.
I feel like I'm definitely missing some from the list I'm looking at, which is probably why I'm not thinking of whatever the one you're talking about, because I haven't kept this list the most updated, if I'm being honest. Let's see. What about the Fablemans? That's coming of age, right? For Sammy?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm taking the Fablemans. I love that movie. I know it's like such a divisive one.
No, I love that movie as well. I think the movie's fucking awesome. You took Spirited Away. Fucking Ash. City of God. City of God.
I always forget that. I don't really like think about coming of age when I think about it, so I always forget about that one, but it definitely would qualify for that.
Amen. There is one on here that if you don't take, I personally think is nuts.
I feel like I'm...
Do you want me to give you a clue? Because I feel
Sure.
like... Think of the ones that we've recorded for this topic.
Like the way back?
Nope. What's the first one that we did for coming of age?
I thought it was Boyhood. Was it not?
No, that was second. There was one before that. Has to do with orange Tic Tacs.
Oh, Juno.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to be upset about having... Why do I not have that on my list? I must not have it listed as coming of age.
Yeah, maybe not.
No, I'll skip that this time, but I do love that movie.
All right. Fair play.
But that's fair.
I just want to make sure. If like
No, I appreciate you looking out. I'm actually going to take Kiki's. I don't even have a problem with having 2 of the Ghibli movies on this list. I love that movie so much.
Delivery service, nice. And to edge it all out, has a
I could just keep going on forever.
Yeah, I feel like we could as well. But oh man, I was really banking on Pan's Labyrinth. See, there's so many now. Could go Goonies. I probably won't go Goonies.
I just rewatched that, and it does not really scream coming of age to me as much as I thought it did when I was a little bit... Like, I always loved that movie. It really just feels like a pure adventure movie.
Yeah.
Whatever. I just rewatched it like a week ago, I think.
I'm going to go Little Miss Sunshine.
Great one.
So to recap, Ash, you had Good Will Hunting, Good Will Hunting, Sing Street, Dazed and Confused, Lady Bird, Spirited Away, Frances Ha, Clueless, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Fablemans, and Kiki's Delivery Service. Myself, I had Almost Famous, Superbad, 10 Things I Hate About You, Boyhood, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Perks of Being a Wallflower, Moonlight, Stand By Me, City of God, Little Miss Sunshine. Unreal. Well done.
I love all those movies. These are all pretty much 4 to 5 stars for me, with most of them being 4.5 or 5.
Hell yeah. Well, that is the end of our month of coming of age films. Again, next month we are starting up our month of Hitchcock, so please watch Dial M for Murder to join in on the conversation. But till then, follow us on everything. Everything's in the description. I'm Harry, that's Ash. This is the Love, Death, Movies podcast, and we'll see you at the movies.